good evening, everybody. So for those of you who know me personally, you know that I just moved into a new, gorgeous, huge estate home here in Maine. So one of the things that made me fall in love with it and decide that I wanted to move into it was this. When I first walked into the kitchen, I saw it and I thought to myself, oh my God, it has a French cooktop stove. I couldn't have been more wrong on that. All I knew was that these were similar to the French cooktops that I have used in professional kitchens. Occasionally, they're not really all that common in professional kitchens either. So when we were in the process of unpacking, we found a bunch of cookbooks for this oven, and we really didn't understand why there were specific cookbooks for it. So the one day I was gonna try to make dinner, and I went to it thinking, hey, let me just turn this on, and I learned I had absolutely no clue whatsoever what I was looking at. So I had to do some research, and then I found out that I have an AGA. You might be asking, what is an AGA? Because I still really don't know the answer to that question. So in my research, what I have learned is that this is an oven that was from Sweden. They didn't exist in the United States for a really long time. The only video that I've actually found that really tells me much about it is a video that Martha Stewart did using hers. Apparently she has one of the original models, which is a coal-fed stove in her barn kitchen. And maybe this was a very, very old Martha Stewart episode that I found this on. So that was when I was able to kind of learn the premise behind this piece of equipment. So taking the fact that this is something so completely new to me, I thought, why wouldn't I want to take you guys on the adventure with me of figuring out how this thing works? So this is literally the very first time I have ever used this stove. This could be a complete disaster, and I'm gonna take you along the ride with me, and we'll see what happens. But first, let me explain to you a little bit about this stove. So this is the AGA. Beautiful, gorgeous piece of equipment. So first thing you'll notice is these two things up here. Well, first thing I notice is these two things up here. This one here is the boil station, or the heavy cooktop. So this one radiates more heat, and this is where you're gonna put pots and pans in it. You wanna get to temperature faster. And this one here is the simmer station. So let me tell you a little bit more about how this works. So in this door down here is the gas controls for this. I have a gas modeled one. There are new ones out there, the electric model ones. But what this is an oven that is continuously on, always maintaining temperature. You don't ever turn it off. You always have everything exactly at the temperatures that you need to have them at. And each compartment has its own purpose. So as I told you, this one is for bringing pots to a boil and rapid cooking, and this one is for sauces and simmering and things like that. So you can fit like 4 pans, or if you're like me and you have commercial size things, 1, maybe 2 on top of there. And then this door here is designed to be the roasting oven. So this is supposed to maintain a constant temperature to roast at a proper temperature. This one here is for baking. That one is designed to have the proper temperature to bake and to maintain the proper moisture level for that. This one, I am still quite intrigued by the concept, and we're gonna have to read some books to figure this one out. But this one here is what they're calling the simmer oven. So what it says is it's designed for overnight baking. And then this one down here is the warming oven. And this here is the warming plate. So this just stays at a nice warm temperature. You can set things on to get things to temp. So let me set down my little remote thing that I have here in my hand, because I'm not gonna be able to cook too well with that. So the premise is, from this, it radiates heat up, and it spreads it in a certain fashion, and inside it's all like a cast iron. So it's maintaining a temperature all the way around it and cooking not from the traditional heat sources that we are used to. It's actually cooking from all sides. I'm really excited to find out how this works. really excited to, you know, take you guys on the journey, even though I know that it is not always going to be pretty. So tonight I am making my very first dinner around here, and I'm going to do something very simple, very basic, just so I can kind of get a feel for it. And then we'll just kind of see where we go from there. So I'm going to make some linguine with clam sauce. I had brought in some imported pasta so that I could have normal linguine, because learning this and trying to do it with gluten-free pasta, which is not always the easiest thing to use, I decided to go with some fresh imported pasta instead. So I am going to grab my La Croce pot with some salted water, set it on here, see how long it takes to get it to a boil, and then we'll see what happens from there. So we're going to keep the lid on here so that it comes to a temp faster. And I am going to record this full length. I probably will upload the full length video to YouTube so you can see all of it. But we are going to be starting our own TikTok. I believe I probably have somebody who's going to be doing some social media management for me so that we can condense things down, bring them all together, and put them into a format that is TikTok friendly and length appropriate for that. And we'll see what happens. Never in my life did I want to have a TikTok. Never in my life did I really want to be on television cooking. But you know what? Maine has really changed a lot about my life, and it's not even bothering me these days to be interviewed by the news. So why not take y'all on my journey? So let's just go over what we have here while we're trying to get this to boil. So for my linguine with clam sauce, I have some fresh clams right here. I have the fresh imported linguine, so I can have that. So for people who are celiac or people who have gluten issues, I think that it's semi-common knowledge at this point in time that imported flours do not cause the same problems with gluten that American flours do. One of the things that I learned through the course of my nutritionist training was that in the 90s, there was a push for the wheat grown in the United States to grow more grain per stalk. So we in this country created a hybrid version of wheat so that would produce faster and more quantities. And ultimately what we produced was a wheat that a lot of people's bodies do not know how to process and break down, which is why there are so many more gluten issues going on these days than we had previously ever heard of, and why with a lot of the people that I have worked with in kitchens that are not from the United States, they don't understand why all of a sudden gluten is such an issue here. Well, that is why, because you guys didn't mess with the way something was. We did. We created a product that we can't even eat. So let me just see how this is feeling. I don't want to burn myself, but I just want to kind of see how fast things heat up on it compared to a normal stove. And water is pretty warm compared to what it would be. So back to what we were doing. So here I have some chopped clams in their juice. Here I have some Parmesan cheese, some fresh lemon, some fresh chopped parsley, some white wine, minced garlic, some butter, and some red pepper flake. And then I didn't realize that we had not used this yet, so let me take the paper off of here. So, and then I made some garlic bread because one requested garlic bread. And I am going to put one piece of the garlic bread in the roasting oven and one piece in the baking oven so we can see the difference in how they function and length of time to do something with something that's not necessarily totally relevant to the meal. but at least it'll give us a starting point on what to expect. So I'm going to slide this off to the side while I'm waiting for it to come to a boil. Because like I said, it did tell us that we are able to fit more than one pot on here and that it's still going to cook the same way, so we'll see what will happen on that one. So one of the ways that I learned to cook clams was to start by getting a pot totally warm on a burner, and then having the ingredients that are going to go on it in a different pot, flipping them upside down into a pot that is super hot at the time, and letting them steam fast and pop open. So that is how we are going to do this. So while I am waiting for everything to get done and get hot over here, and it is getting quite warm, I'm going to put the clams right in there. Throw some of the fresh parsley in with them. Two of the pats of butter we're going to throw in there. The white wine. And we're going to throw in a little bit of the clam juice from the chopped clams. So we're not going to put these in until we have the sauce more done, just so they don't get rubbery, because these are already fully cooked as opposed to the raw clams there. And then just going to squeeze some fresh lemon juice in as well. If you're not somebody who cooks, what I'm doing here is preventing the seeds from the lemon getting into the pot. All right. Oh, we are nice and toasty warm there. And this is very close to coming to a boil. So I can already see that it is pretty accurate, that it does things a lot faster. So one of the things that I did learn from the Martha Stewart video was how quickly and how helpful this oven and stove ends up being to creating meals. So since I can tell that those won't take long, I'm going to take the 2 garlic breads that I have prepared and put them into the oven so that we can check out those processes while we are making the clam sauce. All right. So I got 3 pats of butter. I'm going to take one of them, or you could do this part with olive oil. Unfortunately, I haven't fully unpacked and I have no clue where my olive oil is. So we're going to throw the 1 pat of butter in there. Get the garlic simmering in the butter. So that's starting to cook a bit. And then, like I said, when you have this ready and that this is nice and warm, it might be about there. Give it a little bit of a test with this to see if it's hot enough that it's going to create the steam. Yes, we're good. All right. So you're gonna take this, you're gonna quickly pour it in and flip the lid on top of it. Create its own little steamer inside to pop those clams open for you. Maybe it could have been a little bit hotter if I had it a little bit more on burn. And again, like I said, this is all trial and error for me because I don't know anything about how to use these stoves. So while it does tell you in the videos that you can fit 4 pans on at a time and cook with it, may not always be the best method to do things. But they will get there. So we'll keep the lid on here, get that to a boil. I cannot wait for the fact that I am gonna have Charlie and Cameron up here with me for Christmas, possibly some others coming too. But Charlie and I can resume doing some of our cooking things, and I can show her something that me, you know, as a chef of almost 30 years and somebody who's been on this planet for almost 50 has never seen. So I can start teaching her something really cool like this at the age of 7. And I can already hear it starting to bubble and boil inside of there at this point. And I can smell the wine cooking. So now that we have it to a boil, we're gonna slide it back over to the side. And we're gonna put this back over here so that we can get our pasta water to a boil also. Starting to pop open pretty nicely in here. Not fully, but I'm going to slide them over to this one just so that they don't overcook while I'm getting the pasta ready. I lost my favorite bowl, but I'm trying to keep everything clean on the floor. I'm just going to glance in here a minute. What's wrong, baby Rainy Day? What's wrong with my baby Rainy Day? The pug-a-lug-a-lug-a-lug-a-lug is right there. Her the baby girl, huh? She's a mama's babies. I know. Why I love you so much, Rainy Day? Why I love you so much? She's such a sweetie. You see her over here? This is my baby girl right here. Right there, my baby girl, huh? She's on the TV with me. Oh, he's on the TV with me. All right, we are almost to a nice rolling boil now. And I think this is going to time out perfectly, honestly, because I can hear this coming to a boil and those were popping open, so they will be able to be turned into the sauce just in time to have the pasta thrown in there. They would do better if I would stop opening the lid, but because I have absolutely no clue what I'm doing with this oven, I'm doing all of the things that I should not be. We're melty. That's where we are at the moment. Melty. So it'll be very interesting to see how things work in something that, so this is actually one of the things I did learn. This here is supposed to be the gauge that tells you that it's at the right temperature. So this black line here is where you want everything to kind of end up, so you know that the whole thing is at the right temperature. But because this thing is not new, that little thing isn't working like it should be, and we have a rolling coil. Now let me pop the lid off of here. And how are you guys doing? There you go. I'm going to move this over again. Get you back over here on the more intense heat for a second. So, it definitely does change the intensity of the boil by shifting it off. So I'm not sure that I love the idea of trying to put 4 pots on at a time, which is what it tells me that I'm able to do. Because these aren't, well, that one's a little bit big, but these aren't even really that big. And it's definitely, right now, this spot on this pan is the only part that is actually bubbling. It actually has tamed it down from the rolling boil that it was at. And this one here, same thing. This side is bubbly. I wouldn't call it a rolling boil, it's more of a simmer at the moment. But all in all, I'm not unhappy. So. We've got a good, most of them are in that slightly open stage, but not fully open. So I'm going to put you back in the center. You back to your rolling boil. Cover you back up. And hey, like I said, anything can happen. I have no clue what I'm doing with this piece of equipment. So, because I'm working with fresh pasta, it's not going to take as long. And that's another thing that's really messing with the timing in my head, is because I don't use a lot of fresh pasta in life. So to me, I should be putting it in right now, because this should be about 8 minutes out from that, that should be about 8 minutes out. So in my mind, it's a perfect timing situation, but I'm using fresh pasta, which is more like a 2-minute thing, so. All right. I'm gonna slide this off here. We're gonna slide this back over. Get these fillet popped open. I will get the sauce pretty much at the state of finish, so that I can drop the pasta, pull it out, put it in the sauce, and be done. So I will have to check after this filming to see where we are. So in here, this is the control room of this, and I just want to figure out where we are on this and see if there's more up that it could go. And maybe it would just be a little bit more intense heat-wise, which I did just turn it up, so it's not going to change it fast. The process of getting this up and running, you have to go to a certain level for like 30 minutes, and then you turn it up some more and pop it up to that level. The nice thing is, I don't see any of these clams not opening, so. Sorry, I keep singing. It's just what I do. So my new cafe is over in the mall. We opened on Saturday in the middle of a craft fair, which was quite intense. And then press got a hold of it all today. So the newspaper put me in the newspaper. The local TV station saw the newspaper, showed up with some people to interview me, and that was my day today. So there we go. We got a nice. Going to be a pretty one. I want to pour this in here just yet because we are now just really popping fully open like that. I don't want to slow them down from that. I'm going to shift the ones open over to the middle that are less open and put them over the intense heat. Pull the ones over that are fully open so that they're not sitting there overcooking. So I got a tripod and a ring light, and I don't know what any of that means other than my phone is over there and you guys aren't falling over like when I was cooking with Charlie in the winter. So that is a plus. Also, my phone is not going to overheat and turn off on me in the middle of what I'm doing. We are going. Yes. We only got about 2 more to fully pop, so we're good. This one here, I'm not actually sure that I believe you're going to open. The other ones are pretty good, but you are a questionable little sucker, so we're going to get you right on out of here. I used to work for a chef that would tell us to pry them open if they didn't open because they didn't want to lose the product. The other chefs that I'd worked for told me that if they don't open, that meant they're bad. So I didn't really like that at all. So all right, we're gonna put those on in there. We're gonna get this back to a boil. I'm gonna slide this over, get this fully back to a boil, and then we will pull the pasta right into here. We'll add the Parmesan cheese. I like mine with some lemon zest on top, and then that's it. We plate it and we eat it. This smells so good. I have not had linguine with clam sauce in so long because that I do avoid going near any of the pastas, and I don't really do a lot of cooking with the gluten-free stuff at home because most of the time the people that I'm feeding are not huge fans of the gluten-free. So I do a lot of cooking of other things. But this seemed like a really safe option for the first time using this. Alright, we are good. Alright, like I said, we're gonna move this over here. Slide you over to the simmer on, get you back to a boil. Shouldn't take long, it's definitely not cold. I can see the steam rising. So. For something that is continuously producing heat, I was actually really fearful on the fact that this would be semi-dangerous, that touching it would burn me, or close to, this right here is probably the hottest part of it that I'm feeling. And it's not hot. You can see my hand is sitting on it pretty heavily. If you held your hand here for a really long time, it definitely gets warm, but the door is slightly warm to the touch. This part, a little bit warmer than that. This over here, like I said, is the warming plate. If something was sitting on it, it would definitely be keeping it warm if the vessel that it was in was already warm. But it's not hot, and and the sides of it are still cold. So I'm pretty impressed by that, honestly, because it's not really what I would expect. Just the concept of it. So the engineering that was put into designing this was definitely really great for the era in which it was built, because modern ovens, you couldn't do this. You could not touch the door on a modern oven. You would be burned. Watch the pot never boils, Bethany. Check on garlic bread. But it's there. Let's see. Crowd the pan too much, because the pasta is, like I said, it's fresh pasta, so it's something that's a refrigerated item. Lowers the temperature super fast, so you lose the boil. So you definitely probably should have or got it a little bit hotter, and possibly had the pasta out at room temperature a little bit more, just to keep that from happening. I don't have a ton of water in the pan. I have the pan about half full, and this should be an adequate amount for fresh pasta, but definitely lowered my temperature really fast. When I was a little girl, we had a wood stove in my grandparents' house, and in the garage of my grandparents' house, and I used to love to watch the little water beads dance around when that would happen. So I would do it on purpose. So that was a moment that kind of took me back to that, and I really just remember doing that a lot when I was little. Sometimes I remember getting yelled at for it. All right, we are going to pull this pasta out of here and let it finish cooking in the clam sauce. Pretty well getting most of the pasta out, I'll tell you that. So normally with doing clam sauce, especially if some of the juice is from the canned version, or even if you get them from a local seafood company or you know, like a purveyor, the juice is going to be pretty salty. So you always want to make sure that you taste it first, because you don't want to add salt to it and then have a product that is too salty. Okay. I am not mad at that, let me tell you right now. So like I said, I'm just going to finish mine with the Parmesan cheese in the sauce. It is about a perfect pasta right now. I do not have pasta bowls, but I was asked what I wanted for my birthday, so some La Croce red pasta bowls.
I already decided we're going to use not pasta bowls.
Somebody else can give me pasta bowls.
It's not pasta bowls.
Actually, I am not going to use the plates. I'm going to use our Asian bowls, because
Hi.
they will at least fit it
What's
a little bit better.
that about? What's that about? What's that about?
I mean, I am cooking linguine in a wok,
What's that about?
which is probably fine because
What's that about?
pasta didn't originate in Italy.
What's that about? What's that about? What's that about, little girl? Hi, little girl. You don't love me? I love you, little girl. You want love too? You are still little girl. Yes. You are. You're the little girl. You're littler than her and she cried. Yes, you're the little girl. Mommy will give you a clam.
Oh, you were huffing about it?
Oh.
She was huffing about it?
Oh, mommy will give you clams.
Could not have in wine. She wanted. So it's a little bit liquidy, but all in all, taste is great. We will learn how to use this here piece of machinery eventually. And again, I'm going to finish mine. Put some lemon zest.
So, you like it?
We'll learn it.
Okay. Why was, what was difficult?
So, you know how, did you watch the video that I sent you?
No.
Okay, well, if you watch the video,
When?
it says that, huh?
No.
I sent it to you the first night I found it.
Oh.
If you watch
Why are you yelling?
if you watch the video, it basically tells you that you can fit 4 pots on top and cook with it. Realistically, not really. You're heating everything really unevenly,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really cook at the right.
Phoebe, I'm about to feed you.
Level.
Once I get my food, I'm gonna feed you. Stop. Stop it.
But we'll learn it. And there is our day. Oh yeah?
Did you say
And a cat would like hers. Hi.